This video is about doing dilations when you have a negative scale factor. So I want to remind us first, like, what does it mean? How does the scale factor affect how the dilation happens? So I'm going to just draw a line here from C through point A. And then remember that, like, as the scale factor changed, it moved where point A was. So if it was a scale factor of 2, then that point would double. If it was a scale factor of 3, it would triple, right? If it was a scale factor of 1, it would just stay exactly where it is. And then if it was a scale factor of 1/2, it'd move half as far away. A quarter would move a quarter as far away, so on and so forth. So if we just think about extending that a little bit, right, as that number went up, it went this way along the line. And as the number went down, it went this way along the line, right? If my scale factor was 0, right, then all these points would end up on C, right? And my shape would be a size 0, right? It wouldn't be a shape anymore. All the points would be on top of each other. Well, what then if the scale factor goes negative? Well, remember, as we went along this way, right, it went up, and as we go along this way, it went down. So, just like on any number line, when we hit the point where it's 0, we go in the opposite direction. And in this case, I'm going to do a scale factor of -1. So if I'm -1 units away, what that means is that I need to be the same distance away, but on the other side of the point. So that one's right there. This one looks like the one, like number 1 for you, but I moved point C a little bit, so it's not 100%. Your steps are going to be exactly the same thing. But it's just, I want the picture to be a little bit different just so that you can't copy exactly what I'm doing. So I am now going to draw lines that go through point C, not just from C through D in the positive direction, but these lines are going to go back in the negative direction also. All right, and then all I need to do is measure how far each one is. So let's see, point B is right there. Back that up to here. That puts point B on this line right there. And point D that's where D primed is. Drawing my figure out, I should have labeled B in a little bit of a different place. Okay, and there is my dilation by a scale factor of -1. So what you'll notice is it's kind of like flipped over, but it's exactly the same size because the scale factor was -1, which means it's a 1-to-1 ratio between this side and this side. 1-to-1 means the same size. Okay, there's an example in free space where I have to measure it out. Okay, I'm going to do a few that are on a grid where I do negative scale factors. So I'm going to do this one right here with the scale factor of -1/2. Okay, from the center. All right, so if I'm going from the center, remember I need the same, 1/2 the distance and in the opposite direction. So this point H is 2 units to the left. Half as far away and in the opposite direction would be 1 unit to the right. There's H prime. G is 3 units to the left. Half the other way. Half the distance in the opposite direction would be 1.5 to the right. There is G prime. Okay, point I is down 5 and right 1. Half the direction in the half the distance in the opposite direction would be up 2.5 and over 1/2. There is I prime. And then F is down 5 and left 4. Opposite that, and then half the distance would be up 2.5 and right 2. Whoops. Used the wrong point there for a second. Okay, now you can probably notice this shape is half the size of that shape. And it's flipped in the opposite direction. Okay, if I'm going from, say, a point that is not at the center, let's go down here and let's do this one. Let's go from this point by a scale factor of, whoops, I'm going to go negative. So let's use this point by a scale factor of -1/2. Okay, scale factor -1/2. Okay, same thing. I'm still just going to measure, count how far it is to my points, and go opposite direction half as far. F is left 2 up 1, so I'm going to go right 1 down 1/2. There's F primed. I is right 2 up 4, so I'm going to go left 1 down 2. There's I. G is left 3 up 3, so I'm going to go right 1.5 down 1.5. And then H is left 2 and up 4, so I'm going to go right 1 and down 2. There's H. Whoops, I keep trying to connect to the center. F, G, H, I. Okay, it's the same shape, just flipped over. And that is dilations with a negative scale factor.